Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, The Secret Net. Before we start our story, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss our latest videos. Also, I thought it would be a fun idea if everyone could leave a comment to let me know where you're listening from around the world. So grab a blanket, get into your coziest bed. Once I went on a trip to Italy, where there were two such alarming I think we should leave moments. Around the year 2000, I had a friend, we'll call him Matt. I knew Matt from a club we both were members of at that time. We used to hang out from time to time, grab some drinks at the bar, etc. He was self-employed and made a good living for himself. He liked to travel and take vacations abroad. He called me up one day and said he had gotten wind of a special deal, 2 round-trip airline tickets to Rome, Italy, first class, each for 75% off. Fly out on a Thursday, fly back on a Monday. He had some sort of in with a travel agency, and thus was able to score special deals like this at very deep discounts. As I had always wanted to go to Italy, I jumped at the chance. Now this was my first trip with Matt, and as it would turn out, my only trip with him, and I was looking forward to it. Now they say you don't really know someone until you've either lived with them or traveled with them. In the handful of years that I had known him up to that point, I had only spent a few hours with him at any given time. There were never any real problems or difficulties during those outings. I was about to experience full Matt. He picked me up and we drove to the airport off-site parking, then took the shuttle to the terminal. This was pre-9/11, so things weren't as tight as they are today. When we checked in, Matt kept making personal demands of the staff there. He was being a bit of a douchebag, but I just chalked it up to nerves. Though it ended up being a preview of things to come. We boarded the plane and took our seats. Matt immediately started making demands of the flight attendant, wanting something to eat, wanting liquor, an extra blanket, etc. She told him that he'd have to wait as there are other duties she had to attend to first. She was standing in the aisle with her back to us. He leaned over to me and said, "Oh, she's cute. Nice ass too. Watch this." He then took out a digital camera and started taking pictures of her backside. She turned around but didn't realize what he was doing as her gaze was higher and looking past us. He then took a picture of her groin area, then angled the camera up to take photos of her chest and face. She still didn't notice. She turned around, walked away, and he starts laughing hysterically. I sat there in disbelief at what he did. I simply said, "Dude, seriously?" And he looked at me as if to say, "What?" Then he was getting peeved because he hadn't gotten the liquor he wanted. When the plane took off, they came around with a cart and drink service. There was a basket of those little liquor bottles on it. The Fae walked away from the cart for a moment. And the next thing I know, Matt had grabbed a couple of air sickness bags and was cramming as many of those little liquor bottles into them as they could hold. He was fumbling with them, dropping them onto the floor, and when the FA came back, she saw him sitting there in his seat, clutching 2 barf bags full of booze to his chest, laughing sheepishly. She told him he couldn't have that many. At first, he refused. She demanded that he give them up. Reluctantly, he did. He pulled so many stunts like this, I was sure that we were going to be greeted by security when the plane landed. Fortunately, this did not happen. The best part of that flight was when he drifted off to sleep. We landed in Rome, then went to our hotel. Of course, Matt didn't like the hotel, so we spent at least half the day going around to 5 different hotels until he found one he liked. Since this was his trip and he did all the planning and had the airline tickets, had been to Italy before he touched her. I was essentially at his whims. We finally found a hotel he liked and we started seeing the sights. This was Friday. Despite his obnoxiousness, I was enjoying myself. However, by late Sunday afternoon, I was ready to strangle him. Cue up, I think we should leave moment 1. Sunday morning, we decided to hop on the fast train, go south, and visit Naples for the day. It took an hour and 20 minutes. The countryside was beautiful, even though it was whizzing by at 200 mph. We had lunch in a cafe and took in some of the sights. We were supposed to see the ruins of Pompeii, but somehow we ended up off the beaten path and into an area that was rather seedy and run down. As I was trying to figure out how to get back to where we were before Matt stopped in front of what looked like an ordinary doorway, looked at the small sign and said, "Hey, we need to check this out." I've been to a couple of these before and it's pretty cool. I told him we shouldn't be in this area, but he insisted on going inside. We walked down a short hallway, which emptied out into a very large room. It was actually a casino of sorts with lots of TV screens all over the walls. There were quite a few people in there, and they were all betting on televised horse cart races being broadcast probably from all over the country. Matt decided he wanted to place a few bets. I told him we really shouldn't be in there, but he insisted. To me, it looked kind of shady, and I'm not convinced that the place was even operating legally. It wasn't marked very well from the outside, suggesting that whoever ran it didn't want to attract too much attention. We weren't in there for very long when I noticed a small group of men standing along one wall. They started nudging each other and observing us. Of course, it was pretty clear to everyone that we were tourists. After a couple of minutes, one of the guys came over and started talking us up in broken English. Said his name was Antonio. He convinced Matt that he should place bets for him because he claimed to know which horse carts were the best ones. He would take the money from Matt, place a bet with a teller, take the betting card, wait for the result, turn in the card, collect any winnings, then pass the cash to Matt. Out of 5 bets placed, Antonio's picks won 4 times. The guys by the wall were really taking an interest in us now. After the 5th bet, my somewhat uneasy feeling was now definitely uncomfortable. I told Matt that I wanted to leave. Matt leaned in close and said, "I'm pretty sure this Antonio guy is ripping me off. I think he's swiping a portion of my winnings. What should we do?" This was the first "I think we should leave" moment. I told him that he was probably right, but that there was nothing he could do about it and that it was time to go. Now, I felt like we were really beginning to put ourselves in some danger by remaining there. I discreetly took his shirt by the sleeve and proceeded to prod him toward the door. Matt broke free and said, all right, but I need something first." Before I knew what he was doing, he walked over to the teller booth, whipped out his digital camera, and quickly took a picture of the very cute young woman working behind the counter. She saw him do it. She looked really pissed. I looked at him in disbelief. I could barely contain my anger. Some other people also saw it and were now giving us the stink eye. "Matt, what the hell are you doing?" He looked at me and grinned. "She's cute, isn't she? Too bad we're not staying here in Naples, dude. You don't fuck around like that in a place like this. You are going to get us both killed." Before he could reply, the woman behind the counter was shouting something in Italian and waving her arms in the air. What looked like a couple of cops just appeared out of nowhere along with a security guard. "Oh, fuck." The woman was talking to one cop, pointing at us and yelling. The other cop and the security guard flanked Matt and myself on both sides. Not good. Antonio walked over to the teller booth and started talking to them. Then he came over to us and started talking to the other cop. There was some banter back and forth. Though I couldn't understand a word of it, I didn't like what I was hearing. After several minutes of discussion, Antonio turned and spoke to us in English, but mostly he was addressing Matt. He said that Matt had committed a very serious crime by taking a picture inside the establishment, and especially taking a photo of the woman without her permission, as her job there was sensitive. He also said that the cops wanted to arrest him and take him to the police station for questioning. And since I was with him, I was an accomplice to the crime, so I was guilty too. I envisioned myself sitting in an Italian jail wondering just how the hell I was going to get out of there. And being charged with murder because I seriously wanted to kill Matt. By this time, the other cop came over to us. Antonio started up the banter with them again. After a few more minutes of this, Antonio addressed us again. He told us that Matt would have to erase the photo from his phone and prove to the woman that he had done so. Matt erased the picture and showed her the camera. Antonio then told us that if Matt made a small donation, the cops could be persuaded to let us go. And that wraps up today's tale. I hope you found this chilling story as unsettling as I did. Remember, the most important thing is to always be aware of your surroundings. Here on The Secret Net, we're all about exploring the dark corners of reality and the unknown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next nightmare.